online or distance education. We have therefore been asked to pay attention to the less fortunate. And whilst we were giving or handing out care packages in March 2020 and beyond, some of those packages have run out. And so, what does this mean? We have to think of creative ways in which to help our children, some of whom would have lost their parents in this pandemic. We've got to teach our children to be satisfied. We've got to keep in touch with each other. We have to offer constructive criticisms, knowing very well that we all are in a new space, new opportunities have come, and we as teachers have got to learn it, and we endeavor to teach you as well to manage it. I want to commend those parents who have joined this group, having switched from the original group we had so that we can accommodate more persons as we meet. I welcome you on board as I tell you and remind you that we need you and you need us. There are various changes that are taking place at this time in the education sector. Some of you may have heard because you have children in the primary school level, at the primary school level, and at the secondary school level, there are other changes that are taking place. But I welcome you to ask the questions with respect. And as we endeavor to respond to you, we do so with respect. If there are any challenges that you face, do not be afraid to share it, because where we cannot manage to deal with some of them, we pass them on to the powers that be, the agencies that are in society, and in particular, the Ministry of Education, who has invited us to share our concerns with them. I therefore welcome you all. Welcome to a time when in the midst of our sorrows, we are looking to God. Welcome to a time when we are harmonizing forces to help our children to do well. Welcome to the opportunities to excel and for them to do well in society. Welcome to a group of collaborators who know that the motto of the school continues to be excellence, and that we are making an effort to provide the support that is necessary for our students to excel. We expect them to do extremely well as scholars who show innovation, talent, and academic prowess. We give place for failure too, because it is failure that reminds us that there is more room for improvement. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for coming on board. Normally, when we have face-to-face meetings, sometimes we don't have a lot of men, but I'm hoping that whilst we are in this space, that we have more men being able, fathers meaning, and brothers and so on, being able to be on board. But hats off to you. Thank you for coming on board. Thank you for showing your support, because it means that you love your school, you love your children, and therefore we step into opportunity or opportunities together this year. God bless you. Welcome. Welcome. I am looking forward to the discourse this afternoon to our benefit. Thank you.
And gentlemen, you have heard it. We are doing our best to ensure that each child gets the best experience that we can provide. At this time, I am not seeing yet or the outgoing president of the PTA. Nevertheless, mine is the privilege to introduce to you the topics slated for today's discussion. Before we continue, I am just going to ask if there are any notes of condolences or sympathies, because we are aware that in this pandemic there are so many persons that are leaving us and we can't keep abreast of all of them all at once. So I'm going to ask you to utilize the chat and to post there if at this time your family is faced with the loss of a loved one, so that we can acknowledge. All right. It is apparent that at this time we are all well, and we give thanks to the Lord that our family at this time is not yet stricken with grief. For those of you who are mourning the loss of loved ones, please note that the Green Island High School family empathizes with you and will stand by you and give you the support that we can during your time of bereavement. This afternoon's parent teachers meeting will be focused on three main topics. First and most important of all is the election of officers for the PTA body. It is a yearly occurrence that we must choose a group of persons to lead in the capacities of secretary, treasurer, president, vice president, treasurer, and assistant secretary. Therefore, you are going to be allowed the opportunity at this time to nominate persons for the post of PTA president. The rules of nomination are that one person must nominate in the following fashion. I ask to nominate Mrs. Maxine Evans, for example, and another person comes in and say, I second, then that person makes it onto the ballot. Having gotten all the persons who are nominated for office, then we will conduct the voting through poll inside the Telegram group. The voting will not last longer than 5 minutes. So it is important that as soon as the polls are posted, that you take advantage of the opportunity to vote. Let me now see if I can open the microphones for those of you who are in the chat to be
Mr.
able.
Griffiths,
Yes, ma'am.
may I just share
Yes,
with
ma'am.
them, our parents, that our board or the life of our board ends in December of this year. And so a new board will be sitting in January. This is part of the reason why we have had to elect a new executive. But of course, for persons who are parents who are still on board for another year or so, you may re-elect them if you care to. I know that this not a very easy space to do this kind of thing in, but we can. All right. So I'm going to be taking the notes as we go along. And so I'm asking us to use the platform well because we are not able to meet face to face. Thank you, Mr. Griffiths. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Evans. So I was just attempting to allow persons the opportunity to speak and to nominate. So for those of you who are desirous of nominating someone just now for the position of president of the PTA body, you may tap on your microphone icon and it will give me a little nudge that you are desirous of speaking so you can be unmuted. Please go ahead. Nominations for the post of president. If not, okay. Tricia did Diva. You're up. You're allowed to speak. Go, Tricia. Tricia. All right. It seems we lost Tricia. Call again for nominations for the post of president. All right. I'm seeing Tricia. Tricia, go ahead. All right. Nominations for the post of president again. Santita. Stand by, Santita. Go ahead. You're live. You may unmute Santita and speak.
Good evening, teachers and the parents.
Santita,
Yes, Mr. J, are you able to hear me?
loud and clear now, my dear. Loud and clear.
Thank you. All right. Good evening, parents. Good evening, teachers. Let me also take the time out to thank you for, having this forum that we can meet on. So I therefore move on to nominating Victoria Patrick.
Victoria Patrick nominated. Is there anyone to second Victoria Patrick's nomination, or would Victoria like to decline? Anyone to second the nomination for Victoria Patrick? I'm not sure if persons are using the chat to second the nomination for Victoria Patrick. Let me check.
It would appear so, Mr. Griffiths, so some persons are typing in.
All right. So is Victoria Patrick online? Santita, is Victoria online?
Yes, I'm seeing the name of that
Okay.
person online, Mr. G, that they're
And
listening.
Tasha Lee begs the second. So, having not declined the nomination, Victoria Patrick has made it onto the ballot for president of the PTA. Are there any other nominations for president of the PTA? Remember, in order to speak, you need to click on your microphone icon and it will indicate that you are desirous of speaking.
Will persons in the chat be nominating, sir?
I'm not seeing any just now. Oh, wait. Something came in. All right. No, that's a second. Sarnia Christie, I see. All right. Not seeing anything for Sarnia Christie. But Sarnia is saying that she's in another country and would not be able to work. And she's at work and not able to stay for the entire meeting. That's okay, Sarnia. We understand. Thank you for joining us.
Sir James, seeing that three parents actually seconded the nomination.
For Victoria Patrick, yes. So
Sir.
we're asking now if there's another nomination for the post of president of the PTA. If there are no other nominations, then we will go forward.
Am I allowed to say someone else, sir?
I don't believe that is permissible. Principal, could you clarify?
Pardon me?
Santita is asking if she's able to nominate another person.
No, sir.
All right. So since there are
I
no other
suppose I could,
nominations for the post of,
sir, I suppose we could nominate Santita because she seemed to um have the drive for the group.
and I would second
So
that nomination.
okay, so I nominate Santita for the post of president, and it was seconded by you, Mr. Griffiths.
And Moya third it.
Okay.
All right, Santita, what's your last name?
Car, Mr. Griffiths.
Santita Carr. All right, stand by.
KR.
The poll is going to be posted now. So as soon as the poll is launched, you are going to be asked to vote by selecting
And
the
Mr.
individual
Griffiths,
that you believe. Yes, ma'am?
may I just acknowledge the presence of Mrs. Dinham? I think Mrs. Dinham came on. Our former, well, our president.
Outgoing.
All right. Yes. I think she's
All
on.
right. So this voting is going to be done by anonymous polling. So nobody will know who you voted for. All right? They will only be able to see the results. Not even us who are managing the app will be able to see who voted for who. All right? Poll is going to be launched now. President of the PTA, and you choose Victoria Patrick or Santita Carr. Voting is now open. While the voting is going on, it is now 5:42. Let us take the nominations for Secretary of the PTA. Nominations for Secretary. Nominations for Secretary of the PTA. All right, I see Shema has a concern. There are two persons vying for the post of Vice President of the PTA. What we will do is to automatically award the second runner up the post of VP. All right, so the polling is about to close. There are 170 plus persons in the group, and we have 36 votes so far. Do I need to extend the poll, or do we now close the poll? Remember that in not exercising your right to choose, you would have chosen not to choose, and whomever it is that is in the seat, you're expected to give your full support. Is there anyone else who would like to vote at this time before the poll closes? Okay, Cleopatra is saying she'd like to participate, but she doesn't know anyone on the platform. I understand that it is very difficult. 42 votes. 1 minute. 1 minute left for voting. We have 45 votes. The poll is still open for those who are desirous of voting. Let me just do something because the poll is running. I'm going to pin the poll so that you can see it across the top of your screen. So you'll see a notification president of the PTA. Click on it and you'll be allowed to vote. We're at 46 votes with seconds to go before the poll closes. And the polls will be closing in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Polling is closed. Ladies and gentlemen, the results are in. Let me see. I would like our principal to do the honors. Madam, could you tap on your microphone so that your profile can surface? There you go. Madam Evans, would you like to do the honors? The polls are in.
Okay, sir.
If
I
you
am
look in the
making
group,
sure.
you will see the results. We have a low
Uh,
voter turnout. Out of 177 members, constituents, only 53 voted.
okay, sir. I'm trying my best to see where to find all of that. Okay, got there. All right. So, based on what I see here, ladies and gentlemen, are you hearing me, Mr. Griffiths?
Loud and clear, ma'am. Loud and
So,
clear.
the president of the PTA for the year 2021 2022 is Miss Santita Carr, and she took away 85% of the votes. And the person who will be working with her, based on what we have decided on, that the person will be serving as vice president, is Miss Victoria Patrick or Mrs. I'm not sure. So, and that would be a total of 15%. Over to you, Mr. Griffiths. Just want to thank those persons who have voted and thank these two ladies for choosing. Congratulations to you, Miss Santita and Miss Victoria. Looking forward to working with you.
I believe at this time it is appropriate that Miss Santita and Miss Patrick address the people as we prepare for the nominations of the role of secretary.
Let me go ahead and say a big thank you to the parents that have voted and also for not just voted because most of you would not know who I am, but you have also given me the opportunity to prove to you that your voting was not in vain. I thank you for your trust. And let me assure you that I am very dedicated and I'm a hardworking parent. I would definitely do my best to ensure that we take the school to the highest level and to keep Green Island High on top. So hats off to you, parents. Hats off to the teachers. And again, thank you so much for voting for me. Thank you.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I just feel a burst of energy coming across, like I'm ready to work out the entire
Don't
year.
talk about it, Mr. Griffiths. Don't talk about it. Don't talk about it.
I'm just Miss Patrick. Where's Miss Patrick? Click on your microphone. We wanna hear you. Let me see if I can find her in the listing. Oh yes, I just saw her. Victoria Patrick, you are up as Vice President of the PTA. You may unmute and address the parents who would have entrusted you the responsibility of Vice President of the PTA. Miss Patrick? Seems like Miss Patrick is away from her device.
Or
Nevertheless,
she might be
at
at
this time we move
connectivity
into
issues, Mr.
the
Griffiths. But the
probably,
congratulations, Mr. Griffiths
but
are
this is
pouring in. She says she has been muted by admin, so please allow her, Mr. Griffiths, Victoria.
She's allowed to speak. She may not unmute. We must apologize to those individuals who are trying to access the. Oh, it's coming back. Thank you, Jesus. Our YouTube feed has been having challenges due to limited bandwidth. Nevertheless, we pray that those trying to view the proceedings from Facebook, or sorry, from our YouTube channel, that you are able to get the information that is being passed. Victoria, go ahead. You are allowed to speak. Vic,
Well,
Mr. Griffith, I'm not sure what is happening with your device, but there is an
sorry on that
Alika.
side.
There's an Alika in the group who is concerned about our um PTA, but we have to do so, madam. Whilst I know that you are concerned about selecting persons you don't know, but the others who are nominating would have known the persons. What we will do is ensure that after the selection, that you are made aware of who they are. It's not easy in the virtual space, and we do not have all of the time to do so. So let's trust the persons who are online. At other times over the years, we have had this kind of situation where some people do not attend the meeting and they have to go with whomever is selected. So let's put our trust in the system and the persons who have given their word. We'll be working with them personally and introducing them later. All right. So let's see how best we can manage this. All right. Thank you.
On to the matter of the nominations for the post of Secretary of the PTA. Nominations are now open. Those desirous of nominating, please click on your microphone up icon so that we can get the indication that you are ready to participate. First
Point of
nomination for the
order.
post of Secretary.
Point
Yes,
of
ma'am.
order, Mr. Griffiths. As it relates to the nominations as well, if persons are not nominating other persons, they could also volunteer. So if persons are able to manage, especially the virtual space or the technology, because much of it will have to do with passing information. And even if we go back face to face, we're still going to need persons who are able to manipulate the computers and send messages out. So if there are persons online who are able to manage that, you could also volunteer to serve as secretary to the PTA. Thank you.
Then open. Position of secretary. If there are no nominations, then we ask that someone volunteer.
Am I allowed to go ahead again and nominate Sir G?
Michael.
Go ahead, Santito.
All right, so I beg to nominate Miss Kerona Watson.
Of Kirona Watson. Let's see. Let me check the chat because, oh Lord, I'm going to have to put the chat into slow mode. It's going so fast. Uh, Nomination second for anyone to second the nomination for Kerona Watson. Going once. Going
Mr. Griffith,
twice. You're going to second, ma'am?
I would have to
Okay,
be
thank you.
trusting Santita on that one because I don't know the
Second
It's,
person.
for
it's
Carolina
seconded
Watson.
by Tashani and Nadine.
Yes, sir.
So, Kerona has been entered into the ballot. Stacy, go back to work. So this meeting is on. No, it's not only to select Representative Stacy. Is there another nomination for the post of secretary? If not, then by virtue of Kerona being the only nominee, she would automatically be awarded the post. Are there any other nominations at this time? Going once? Any other nominations going twice? Any other nominations going thrice? Nominations closed. Madam, please do the honors. Principal Evans.
I'm here, right here. I'd like to use this opportunity to say um, a big thank you to Ms. Karuna Watson for accepting to serve as secretary to the PTA, and I wish her long and successful service. Thank you, Mr. Griffiths.
Thank you very much, Madam. Now we are on to one of the most important roles in the PTA. Not saying that the others aren't, but any organization, every organization needs to have somebody who accounts for money and who is able to generate money. Now, I know a lot of you out there are good with your hands. Anything you touch, as the Bible says, it flourishes. I'm going to ask that these persons are nominated at this time for the post of treasurer. And if there are no nominations, that someone who knows they have the skill to generate income for the PTA so that we can undertake projects that you offer yourself.
Point
Nominations
of
are now open for the.
point of order, Mr. Griffiths.
Yes, ma'am.
Whilst we are considering the post of treasurer, I do believe that Miss Karuna Watson would need to have an assistant. So we could reopen that so afterwards so that we could find out if there is anyone who would assist Miss Karuna with this aspect of the management of the executive. Go ahead with treasurer, sir, and then we come back.
Any nations for the post of treasurer? I'd like to nominate Miss Sandra Chambers.
Naranya, fuck.
I'd like to nominate Miss Sandra Chambers for the role of treasurer of the PTA. Anybody to second?
I beg to second that, sir.
Mrs. Dinam?
Yes, I was saying that I beg to second that as well.
Okay, so Madam, seconded by Mrs. Dinam and Santita. Are there any other nominations for the post of treasurer? Okay, we have a whole heap of thirds in there. Any other nomination for the post of treasurer? Miss Sandra, we need some help, you know. Any other nominations going once? Any other nominations going twice? Any other nominations going 3 times?
I would beg to nominate Cleopatra.
Cleopatra.
Don't know her last name.
Let me look to see if I can find her. Cleopatra. Anyone to second the nomination of Cleopatra? Lakeisha Vickers seemed to be seconding the nomination for Cleopatra in the chat. And Kerona just jumped onto that. So here we go. So Cleopatra, and we need to hear Cleopatra's last name. I can't find her in the chat. Cleopatra. View profile. We're about to launch the poll. Please bear with us. Oh, Cleopatra didn't put up her last name. All right. Cleopatra, are you willing to accept your nomination or do you decline?
So she can decline now after persons would have seconded the motion or the nomination.
She can decline. All right. So, Madam Cleopatra, can we have your last name? Could you unmute and give us your last name for record? I'm seeing a nomination in the chat. Donald Thompson, you would like to nominate whom?
Mr. G, may I say something for a moment, please?
Sure.
While you're waiting for the response from the person that wants to do a nomination, Mrs. Evans was saying earlier that we would need a second assistant for the secretary. I was asking in the group if Shamar Morant would, and he just replied that he would be delighted to do so. So we would have had a second person for the assistant secretary to Corona. I'm not sure if the parents would like to
Madam,
vote on him or what, or you guys just want to proceed. But he's agreed to be the assistant.
and I would have seen where
Who
there are
is that,
persons
Miss
who would have
Santita?
seconded.
Shamar Morant.
Shamar Morant.
Shamar Morant, and he's very active in the group this afternoon. I've been watching his posts.
Yes.
And he has high praises for his president already. So I'm looking forward to working with Mr. Morant.
Definitely
Very
so.
good that we have a yes, that's very good that we have a male, a parent. Very good, very good. That name sounds familiar too, I wonder. All right. But if he is willing to do so, Mr. Griffiths, do we have to vote? So some of the parents do not know the persons, so we could work with this sitting executive,
Person
and
would have seconded.
as soon as we change back to face, then we'll know each other, or we will set up another meeting. The first meeting will be to introduce persons to the entire body. All right, so
All right, ma'am. So there are persons who would have seconded and thirded the motion within the
yes,
chat space for him
yes,
to serve as secretary. So
yes, sir.
I am believing that we would not have a need to go back to vote as there were no
To voting.
oppositions to
All
it.
right. Okay, sir, go right
So
ahead.
I saw where Cleopatra was typing earlier. Cleopatra, we need your last name for records purposes so that we can start the polling. You know, we're a country of people who like to vote.
And Mr. Griffiths, I suppose we'll do contacts later too, because if they're in the group, we should
Yes,
be able
ma'am.
to find their contacts.
I'm going to do that because I'm going to have to reach out to them and then get their profile to prepare.
Okay. Okay. Mr. Morant is the former head liaison officer for the prefect body in the year 2015, 2016. I know that name sounds familiar. Welcome on board, Mr. Morant.
All right, so I'm looking in the chat to see if I have Cleopatra's last name.
Are you hearing me, sir?
Loud and clear.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was nominated for, I got distracted
The
for a
post
while. My
of
apologies.
treasurer. The
Wow.
post of treasurer. And you sound like you handle money well, you know. I just said.
I do, but unfortunately, I would have to decline.
But you
Whenever
can't
I'm
decline after I said on you.
whenever I'm taking up a post, I would love to give it my all, and at this time, I won't be able to, sir.
But remember that you have another person working with. We just need to do the voting, and if the cards are in your favor, then we work it
Mm-hmm.
out from there.
Okay then.
Or
So
we
we
could
need your
talk with
last name.
her afterwards, Mr. Griffiths. Point of order.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk with her afterwards so that we understand where she's coming from in terms of the concerns she may have. I don't want to let her go just so. She sounds like a quite level-headed person.
Beg
Thank you,
some
madam.
I would, but
like
I
someone
would
that
really love for us to do the voting, and
Yes, yes, sir.
I think we should still do the voting, and then based on how it turns out, then we proceed with the discussion.
That's right.
Okay.
What's your last name, Cleo?
Hales, Hayles.
Hayl Hayles. All right. Poll is now launched. Remember, we're not spending 5 minutes voting. There are 177 constituents, 177 members inside the group here now. We need everybody to vote. We cannot tell the EOJ that people don't want to vote. Let's go.
Oh, Lordy.
For you know, Mrs. Evans, if this were in class, I would have
Yes, sir.
casted my vote and then watch the counters go up
Yes, sir.
like it's horse racing at Cayman's track.
Yes, sir.
All right, so there are 20 votes in. Oh my God, we are now at 221 members in the group. So, and 20 votes have been casted. So, come on, we can't have such a low voter turnout, man. We believe in excellence. Michelle, if you're not hearing, I would suggest that please join the video call. Michelle says she's not able to hear. All right, so we're now at 222 members and counting. 30 votes have been casted. 1 minute of voting has gone. Oh my God. Ladies and gentlemen, please pardon me. There's an error on the ballot and we have to stop the voting and go again. My God.
I
The
saw
wrong
that
heading
also.
was on the poll. I apologize. I didn't even recognize. What was I thinking? Create poll.
I'm so
Treasure.
sorry I wasn't paying attention to it either.
It happens online.
Simone says the election
One
is
of
a
the
low
things we miss
voter
about face
turnout
to face, would I just say, put up your hand?
because of COVID.
Very much so. Very much so. But I believe we would score high points because we have not put anyone at risk. Very compliant, a highly compliant election. All right, so the polls have been relaunched. Please recast your votes now. Well, I can't manage. I'm sorry. I don't know if I should be enjoying this so much, but I am. Maybe they are social distancing from the poll.
That's right.
That's an interesting thought right there. All right, for the persons who are trying to cast their vote, use the poll. Let me pin it to the screen. I'm pinning the poll so that you can see it at the top. Those of you who've not yet voted. So it's right at the top of your screen in the group Treasure of PTA, and you click on that message and you'll be taken right to the ballot to cast your vote.
And we now have 36 votes.
3 minutes. You have 36?
Yes,
37, okay.
36.
I'm sorry, the feed inside the studio is a little delayed. You are really president because if you can get the information before me, I like it.
Oh, Madam President.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it, Mr. Griffiths. This is the year of Jubilee.
She's getting the updates long before me.
Yes.
Yes. All right. At 222 members of PTA, 39 votes have been casted. Come on, people, exercise your right to vote.
Trust your heart. Come on, trust your heart. COVID has caused us to say amen to a lot of things that we don't even know. So trust your heart.
2 minutes of
people
voting
power. People power. People power.
We're now at 40,
2 minutes of voting left on the clock.
42 and counting.
And I'm still seeing 40 in the studio. So lead on, Madam President. Lead on, lead on, lead on. All right. Garnet, please don't expose your vote to anybody. They'll have to throw away the ballot.
And how many seconds do we have remaining, sir? Because I'm seeing 45 now.
You're seeing 45, and we started the voting. We have 1 minute. Well, what seems to be a minute. As soon as the time changes, as soon as it becomes 6:14, then polls will be closed. So it's counting down. You're seeing 49, I'm seeing 47. Well,
Okay,
I tell you now. It's a bit delayed in the studios, but we don't mind.
That's okay.
The studio will catch up afterwards.
Definitely.
All right. So we are in the last few seconds of voting. 223 electors. Only 49 would have cast their votes. I see our newly minted assistant secretary. Everyone is allowed to vote. Yes, Tasha Lee, very slow. Very, very slow. Very, very slow. My phone is very slow. Let me check. All right. So
I'm just reminding persons, Mr. Griffiths. Mr. Griffiths.
Yes, ma'am.
Point of order, just reminding persons this is an act of faith, and a lot of us have had to use this faith in the COVID season, so no harm. As soon as we get through this, we'll be able to inform you of who your PTA executive is, and we'll be able to work through the other issues. All right. So don't worry your pretty little heads. Thank you.
Right, Sergi. So it's still 47, not 49, and it's now 6:15. So I'm not sure if you want 7 close.
Oh, polling is now closed. And the results are, Madam Principal, yours is the floor to announce the treasurer of the PTA. Madam Principal?
Sir, I'm here.
Sir,
I
here.
I gone into the
Yours
chat
is
and I forgot to unmute, but I am here.
the
I'm here. Quite live and ready. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm pleased to announce that the lot has been cast upon for treasurer for the PTA for the year 2021-2022. We have Miss Cleopatra Hales with 72% of the votes.
Yay,
And
welcome.
Sandra taking away 28%. Mr. Griffiths, I think they can work together.
now, Sandra, I think so. But if memory serves correctly, Sandra was sitting in this particular office last year, right, Mrs. Dinham? Alongside Kemisha.
Oh my, yeah. So she has knowledge of what is going on.
Miss Sandra, we need you to speech. We need you to
Yes,
talk to your
Mr.
people
Shank. Good
and then Lady
evening,
Cleo.
parents. Good evening, parents. Thank you for nominating me, and I will work towards it. And you know I can handle money well. I'm the pudding lady. If in case anyone don't know, I am the pudding lady.
Whoa, okay.
Right. So, right choice.
That's a money manager indeed.
Thank you again.
Congratulations.
Lady Cleo, you're on the floor.
Good
For
evening again,
again, thank you for
everyone.
nominating me.
Good evening, everyone, again.
Lady
Thank you so
Cleo,
much. Are you hearing me?
Yes, ma'am, we're hearing you.
All right. I'm saying good evening again, everyone. Thanks for nominating me. I promise I will work to the best of my ability to bring our school to the highest level.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And Miss
I
Sandra, I am willing to work with you. I'm sure you're going to coach me throughout this.
very sorry about cutting you off. Go ahead. All right, where is Sandra? All right, not seeing Sandra. All right, so I believe we have one post left, ma'am, one office, and that is public relations.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
This is where
sir.
the thought
Public
come up.
relations office. Someone speaking. All right. So nominations are now open for the post of public relations officer. You will be responsible for getting the word out as to whatever plans the PTA has and all those wonderful things about the school, making it shine as it ought to, making sure that our best foot is out there. Public relations officer for the PTA. Nominations are now open. Remember that in order to nominate, you need to click on your microphone icon and then we'll get an indication that you'd like to speak and we'll allow you to do so. Go ahead for me, please. Nominations are now open.
I would like to nominate Sabrina Carter.
Sabrina Carter. Anyone to second the nomination for Sabrina Carter?
I
Who's
beg
doing
to
the
second
nomination,
that.
Sabrina
sir?
Carter.
Yes.
Who
Kerona
seconding?
and Chevelle are second it in the group, and Shamil also.
Verona and
Hold on.
Chevelle.
Is Sabrina Carter the one that is named Brina? Brina declined before Shabel and Kerona seconded.
Okay, I
Okay.
didn't see.
Let me look. Let me check. Hold on. Let's check the replay because I'm getting notifications on top of notifications. Let's see what's
Yes, I
going
see
down
that
in all right.
she declined before. Mhm.
Mr. Griffiths.
Such a pity. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Griffiths. Um,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Morant is asking to allow him to speak as well, you know. Could you facilitate that, please? And please remember, Mr. Donald Thompson had um, indicated before. I'm not sure if he's still willing to nominate. So that's Mr. Donald Thompson and Mr. Morant.
Great minds think alike, Mrs. Evans. I was just about to say Mr. Donald Thompson also. I was
Okay,
going through
ma'am.
the messages and I saw his name and I was about selecting him also. So I second that if he's been
Okay.
nominated.
And I see, Mr. Griffiths, that Kerona Watson has nominated Jamal Wedderburn. Mr. Griffiths, I hope I've not lost you. We have not lost you.
I need to check to see if Jamal is a parent. Jamal, could you open your microphone for us?
Good evening again, everyone. I'm begging to nominate Miss Nicola Craig.
Nicola Craig. Is there anybody to second the nomination of Nicola Craig?
Mr. Griffith, if it's the same Nicola Cribb that was sitting on the executive body, on the previous executive body, I wish to second.
I believe it is there one and the same. Is Nicola online? We have 2 seconds in 3 seconds. Oh my God. Nicola, is she online?
Yes, sir. She just joined just now.
Tell her to come and come into the video chat because she's now made it onto the ballot. Is there any other nomination for the post of public relations officer?
I beg to nominate Mr. Donald Thompson.
Hold on. Mr. Wedderburn, you were nominated, you know, sir.
Jamal
And it was
Wedderburn is Jamal Wedderburn's mother.
Mother.
What's your name? What's your name, ma'am?
My name is Andita Stewart.
Oh,
Andita Stewart. You were nominated and persons would have seconded it in the chat. So Andita Stewart, you have made it onto the ballot. Donald Thomas was another nominee. Was there anyone to second the nomination of Donald? Oh,
Mr.
sorry,
Griffiths,
Thompson. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Griffiths, just to clarify, so it means that Jamal's mother is using his device. So the
That
person
is what I'm
who,
gathering.
right, so Keruna did say Jamal, and so does it stand that we continue with Miss Andita Stewart?
Oh,
Keruna
I be-
is saying that she nominated Jamal Wedderburn. I'm just clarifying because Jamal's mother just said she's using his device. So, Miss Watson, Jamal is not a parent.
no, that's true.
She said she
Okay?
agrees. She said that she
All right.
agreed.
She agrees. All right.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right. So she's on the ballot. Donald Thompson was nominated. It was seconded by
By
whom for the
Santita.
record?
By Santita.
That's
Madam
correct.
President. Elect.
So it was nominated by whom and seconded by whom?
Santita.
Was nominated by Santita.
No, man, it was second by
All right. So
Santita, nominated by Mrs. Evans, because she was saying that he was indicating earlier. So I was saying I second that.
oh
Okay.
no, he was indicating that he wanted to nominate somebody.
Oh.
Okay, but he got caught in the net. And he has not
All
declined.
right. I don't hear a
I
sound and
don't see him here now though. I don't see him on now, so I don't know if he got bumped off or what. And we
we
don't
don't
want to
mind the
do it when
men
he's
getting
not
involved.
around.
And I was about to create the ballot, ma'am, because we don't mind the men getting involved.
Yes, especially no, you know. I haven't seen him at all, so I'm not sure if he got kicked off. Anybody knows Mr. Thompson? Donald Thompson?
Nicola Craig. Donald Thompson. Anybody can reach out to him and see if he got kicked off. And Data Stewart. Donald Thompson. Okay. Donald, somebody's not online. All
That's
right.
Nicola
So,
Crane. He's not online.
oh, Nicola is not online. She probably
Mm.
dropped off.
But she was there before. So
All right. So it's time to launch the polls. And the candidates are Nicola Craib, Andita Stewart, and Donald Thompson. And the polls are now open. We have
um
223 members.
and this is PRO position. Mr. Griffiths, point of order.
Oh, yes, sir.
We acknowledge Miss Tasha Lee Morrison, who says she's on her way to work at this time and will soon be disconnected. We want to pause to say thanks to her for being a part of the process and the meeting, and we will keep everyone posted. All the best, my dear. If you are traveling, safe travel.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I'm seeing a Donald online listening, but I'm not sure if it is Donald Thompson or just another Donald. If
Okay.
Donald, could you click to unmute and tell us if you are Donald Thompson?
Type in Mr. G.
He's typing.
Yes, sir. The person said it's another one. So it's not Mr. Thompson, it's another Donald.
Oh,
It's another Donald.
all right. So we have more than
Hmm.
one Donalds. I need to remember that. All right. So we are coming down nicely. Let us look at what the polls are saying. There are 223 members. There are 30 votes that have gone in so far. The polls opened at 6:26 to 6:27, sorry. And within a minute of voting, we're at 30 votes. Please exercise your right to vote. And yes, you're doing this by faith. The- You know what? I can't see anything,
And
But the
faith is the
secretary tells me that
substance. And faith is the substance of the things we hope for and the
and the
evidence of the
evidence of the
things we
things
have
not
not
seen.
seen.
So Mr.
And
Morant is
in
telling us that
this, oh Lord, Natoy Crooks.
the race is quite.
Her data
We
just ended.
apologize for that.
Oh, we are sorry for that. Okay.
You know, 33 votes and 2 minutes of voting have passed. We have 3 minutes to go.
Come
Let me
on.
pin this to the screen so that the message appears on top. The
Come
pin message is that
on.
of the poll that you
Come
are now
on.
voting on.
Come
Go,
on.
go, go. 40 votes. I see Charlene typing. Let me see if I can manage the race in between. All right, Cher, I've already pinned this one. Look for it at the top of your screen. Carlene and Joyce asking if you have not used the poll to vote, use the poll because we're not taking it via text message. The poll will stand as official result. Madam President-elect,
Results,
please.
results and evidence. Yes.
Here's you see, Madam President-elect, so Mr. Thompson is in the lead. I don't cast no vote, so I can't see.
And we're now at
Fantastic.
44 votes.
And sir, madam, the person who is second in position will be the assistant if we agree.
Definitely.
Okay,
All right.
madam.
I see
No,
you say you vote for Donald. Make certain that you
trouble is
click
out
that
there.
on the
Trouble out there. Trouble is out there. Trouble is out there, Mr. Griffiths. Okay, we see.
you voted to Madam. So is me alone? All right, no man, me have to put in my vote, no man.
Yes, man, I
Me
voted
have to
already. I
left.
voted already. I voted already. I
Me
voted
get left. Me
already.
see what they got. No man, the
Feel
race stiff,
free to go
man.
ahead, sir.
The race is
The
stiff.
race stiff,
Tell
man.
you.
But the battle is
Okay.
not for the swift. Not all
Huh.
the other way around is not for the strong, not the race for the swift. Come on, 23 electors and only 46 votes have been casted. Come on, ladies and gentlemen, exercise your right. We're making good time. This meeting has been going for approximately 1 hour and 32 minutes. We're coming down quite nicely under the circumstances.
And we have, yeah.
And the polls are about to close in 5, 4, 3. Last minute voters, please rush to the polling station. 1 and 0. Polls are now closed. And at the end of voting, 48 of 223 electors would have voted. And Madam, over to you. The results
Ladies
are
and
in.
gentlemen, I want to use this opportunity to applaud your efforts at serving in this capacity as we put our new executive together. At this point in time, our public relations officer for the year 2021-2022 shall be, based on your votes, Mr. Donald Thompson with 48%. He's followed by Ms. Nicola Crabe with 33% and Miss Stewart, Miss Andita Stewart with 19%. So,
Thank you very much. Oh,
go
what a
ahead, sir.
race. I
What
just had to
race indeed.
take a breath and just catch up myself.
Yeah,
It
I
seems
don't
like
never
we have
come up
quite,
here.
it seems we have quite the dynamic executive to work with this year. Now, just before we move on to the other item on our agenda, I'd like our outgoing PTA president to just say a few words. Madam Dinam.
Rightly so, sir.
Let me say a pleasant good evening to all parents who are on this platform this afternoon. Just want to say congratulations to the new members of the Green Island High School PTA body. Um, it is going to be not a very smooth road to travel on, but I know listening to all listening to the president and the vice president, and they sound very vibrant and they're ready to serve. And I like that. And I know that you will have a good time there serving the School of Excellence. It's a good school, and so I hope that you will all fly the flag of the Green Island High School high. Thank you very much and have a good evening.
You're most welcome.
Perfect. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to also, on behalf of the Board of Management and the entire staff of Green Island High School, say thanks to Madam President and the outgoing president and her team. In the past 2 years, this group of persons have been selected for 3 years. And in the past 2 years, they have undergone the rigors of dealing with the COVID-19 experience. And so, as she spoke to the matter of turbulence, that it's not a smooth road, I want to also encourage the new executive to understand that if the road seems rough, always remember the story of Jesus who walked on the water to the disciples late at night in the darkness. And one man, Peter, I think our president is like Peter. Peter asked the Lord, bid me come on the water. And immediately he stepped out and walked on water. If it's even for a second, he walked on water. So I just want to reiterate what Madam President said. Our school is a good school. We have been creating waves. There are areas of concern and room for improvement, but I'm sure if this executive takes the baton and runs anyway like Shelley and Price, then we should do great wonders in the new year and in the future. Okay? So thanks everyone for that show of camaraderie and for the faith you have in our school. Thank you, Madam President, outgoing President. Thank you so much. You have been a tower of strength to the school and on the board. Really very commendable tenure, and we sure will make you know that in a more tangible way.
It is a
Over to
little
you,
more
Mr. Gigi.
sentimental for me. This experience is a little more sentimental because Mrs. Dinam now having stepped out of office as president of the PTA would symbol the end of a period that we have been working together for over 5 years, having been the first homeroom teacher for her daughter in grade 7. So it kind of put a finalization on it that her daughter leaves us this year and she no longer serves at that level in our institution. But it has been a great journey. And I would just like to say thank you, madam. Thank you for being one of those parents who is always looking out for our school and the image that we put out. Thank you wholeheartedly. I mean, words can't even express how grateful we are for the level of service that you've given, even before you would have assumed the role of president of the PTA. Whichever school you continue to work at, they are quite lucky. And you know why I say that.
Indeed, extra primary, the best primary in Hackney.
All right. So we've come to the end of the election of officers for the 2021-2022 academic year. So we move on to the second item on our agenda, and we promise not to be very long. It shouldn't take more than about 5 minutes to just give you a few updates about online learning. Madam, would you like to take the lead, or should I start and then you come in after?
Sir, before you get to that, I am going to ask us to remember that Santita, especially Santita, has to contact us because there's a document that has to be signed by her that should go to NCE on Thursday. So I'm going to ask Miss Carr to make sure that she contacts us. So you could give her the contacts in the appropriate way, Mr. Griffiths.
Yes, ma'am.
Um, did you say online learning?
Yes, ma'am. Online learning.
Oh, what a time! What a time! What a time! Ladies and gentlemen, before I hand over to Mr. Griffiths, I want to let you know that COVID, wherever it came from, whatsoever situation surrounded it, and all that we have faced, have taught us that schooling is not what it used to be as it relates to engagement. The pandemic has brought on us a new way of teaching and learning in what was called years ago distance education. In fact, many of the teachers of Green Island High School, and I can tell you that all our teachers are at the level where we are qualified, barring maybe just the specialists. And when we say specialists, for persons who serve, say, for example, at the industrial technology level, those persons would have gone into getting specialized training. Some would have gone to UTech, but others would have gone through the hard program up to level 3 and so on. And so, based on the qualifications of our teachers, and since the pandemic, the further qualification, which speaks to virtual learning training, I want to let you know that this has not been easy for none of us or any of us in the school system. I am sure I'm speaking to the converted parents who themselves would have known that there are challenges with online learning. I don't have to go all the way down to telling you that internet connectivity is a problem, data acquisition is a problem, children's interest is a problem. Sometimes the locale from which the child comes or where they live is a problem. And the very fact that we are not able to engage our students face to face is a grave challenge that we would hope to deal with in a little better way. But as we speak, online learning is here to stay. It may not follow the same trend it has taken since March 2020, but based on what we are seeing in terms of one, the pandemic, and or any other thing that may challenge our ability to meet one another and face one another, because whether we know it or not, there are other eventualities that come up in the school system in which we have lost time. Say, for example, I remember years ago, somewhere in Grange Hill, thereabout, we had an upsurge of gang warfare. And in the middle of the day, as a matter of fact, on the afternoon shift, when students would have just arrived at school, we had to take a decision to call their taxi drivers or their transport operators and ask them to come and get the students so that they could get out of the area. A teacher who would have had her children at Manning's told us about what was happening, and we activated the process. What happened? The students were ushered home, they missed the afternoon session, and they had to stay out for a few days. Had it been that we had this opportunity or we were enrolled in online learning, then whatsoever happened with the other students, even though it might have been a minority of the students, would have been able to be passed on to them. So online learning is here to stay. It is something that the world has taken on. Some in some parts of the world it is far more affluent than in our area. They are way ahead. Right as we speak, we are thinking about redoing our internet connectivity at school, rewiring to millions of dollars. We have to ensure that our children are catered for if they come into the space. And so, whilst we are on the online platforms and not yet face to face, we use the opportunity, those of us who are on at the school, to ensure that we have a proper system so that when the children return, if they were to be absent for a day or a week or any length of time, that they can still access the learning that all their class would access. It is the government's plan to ensure that the entire Jamaica be covered with the bandwidth that is necessary for this online learning to be realized to its fullest. However, we do have challenges as we speak. I did not know. I came into teaching in 1985 and served at, or I'm serving at Green Island High since 1987. And I've never been hurt like I've been hurt by the fact that our students, without any fault of theirs or their parents, have not been able to come in and do as anybody else would have done in terms of their learning from grade 7 to 11. It pained my heart to watch our students grapple with dealing with the lack of data, the lack of connectivity. And in the earlier parts of the year, we ventured, although it was not legal at the time, we ventured to pull in a few of our students who really had serious challenges to ensure that we hide them in a corner just for them, especially the boys, just for them to be on par, to get their learning realized, and to make sure that they keep up with the crowd. Online learning has evolved and in some cases have improved, but I want to ask us as parents to help us in this regard because this is new and this is novel and this is something that we have to encourage the children. And I am expecting you to buy into this. As I gave you the preambles before, online learning is not going away. When a child is ill, for example, and can't travel, and they would send in their SBA, and the teacher would have sent it back, and they have to come and collect it and all of that. We can now do it online. We have the e-copies, and we work with them, and we send it back, and the like. So online learning is not anything to be feared. The only problem we face is the problem of being connected all the time. Even teachers have the problem. Even teachers have the challenge because I do have teachers who, for example, when I'm having a meeting, and thank God for Mr. Griffiths who introduced the Telegram aspect of connectivity to us. When I'm having a meeting on Google or any one of those, sometimes we can't take the capacity. Sometimes we have to fill up our phones with so many of these groups, and sometimes the chat gets full and we get into all sorts of issues. So we know the problems you have out there. Sometimes our phones crash too. Sometimes our devices crash. And so whilst we have these challenges, we have to, while we are working the program or the system, we have at the same time to learn better ways of handling this online teaching learning process. I therefore want to ask us to take responsibility, parents, of our children's learning. They are sometimes smarter than us. Can I tell you that? I have a 2-year-old going on 3 who is able to turn on the tablet, touch what she wants, and watch what she wants, and switch to what she wants. Sometimes we have to also ensure that we monitor her because she gets onto some things that you don't necessarily want her to watch. So here comes the challenge when you have to go out to work and the children are at home and they are not being monitored and the like. In the earliest part of this whole process, we had some children who suffered. Some of them were female students who were left with neighbors and other persons, may not necessarily be Hanover or Green Island High, but it came on the news, and I say it because I want us to be alert. They would have been left with a trusted, at the time, parent or guardian, and the next thing we were apprised of is that the children were subject to abuse. We have to ensure that we communicate, and we communicate with the level of respect that is mutually forthcoming or reciprocated, so that I give you the respect and you give me the respect. I tell you, COVID-19 has taught us to respect one another. If we trample on one another, the next moment we could be dead. And we only cry because the person is gone and we can't say sorry anymore. And then what of our souls? So here we are faced with one, the matter of the devices, and I must report to you that we have not yet received the devices for the students in the 7 to 9 level. We have not yet received those, but the Ministry of Education is working on that. For the students in grades 10 to 13 last year, they would have been fitted out with laptops. And I want to ask that those persons who have not yet collected them should do so. Can you imagine students at grade 13 being given these devices and they are allowed to go with it to at least work during their post secondary years? That's a plus. And I'm not speaking politically. I'm just saying that there are opportunities out there for a case where they didn't have any device. And God help those who don't have. We still have to be looking for creative ways to get them
Hello,
up.
I'm not sure if your device shifted.
Sorry?
All right, much clearer now.
Much clearer. Okay. I think my finger went somewhere that it shouldn't have gone. All right. So we have groups of past students who are working on providing for those who are in need. So it's a program that is going on and on because the need is so great and it is universal and it is national. Then we are having some issues with some persons who will get their devices. But I want to say thanks to the parents who have made that effort. I know there are some persons who have made the effort. We have had persons who say, Miss, I have a device. I will not take the one that the government gives me. Please give it to another student. Of course, we have to account for every one of them. So when persons do not um, come in to pick up, we have to let the Ministry of Education know that this parent has not accessed it, and therefore we ask permission to give it to the other person. As we speak to devices, we also have to recognize that because this is new and novel, there are students who use it foolishly. There are a lot of our students who play around with the device, and as a result of playing around, they get into some places they should not get into. They also use it foolishly. And I'm going to beg us parents that we be aware of cyber crimes and cyber bullying and cyber other things. It is new to us. We're learning as we go along. But people can go online and they still send the body parts and they still send things into the teachers' groups and they still use expletives, and we have our parents sometimes who forget that the camera for the child is on and they are hollering for Santita, go wash up the dishes, or go tie out the goat, and that kind of thing. So we lose track of the discipline that is necessary to be exercised whilst the children are at home. And so we want to ensure that you who are online today, that you be the ambassadors of peace as it relates to online learning so that our children will not be left behind. Can you imagine all of Jamaica going forward? Those schools like Campion, and Knox and Manchester High and State, who are no different from our school. And our children are the same ones who rub shoulders with them at university and other places. Our children are the same one who go to the track meet and do very well and even pass them. Then why should we deny our children the opportunity to be able to move higher with those other students? The difference is the interest we place on their learning. So we ask that we try our best to ensure that we have full support. There are two ways of ministering to a class. For example, I have a meeting now. If I were to call my teachers will have to put the work in the classroom, okay, or put it in the WhatsApp group whilst they are at meetings. So we make provision, and that's the flexibility that we have, the flexibility to be able to manage online learning and what it is called. There are two terminologies that are used together. So whilst we're having the meeting, we're having the teaching, or when we are not having the meeting, they are working on their own. So we have it synchronously or asynchronously. All right. To sync something is to be together. All right. And to async something is to do it at different intervals. So you understand now, parents, that our children are engaged. Our teachers sometimes are not able to come on, but they will put the work in the group early because they have internet issues. The current goes away in some areas and is not in some areas. Make sure that when your children sign up in the mornings for registration, they stay in school. Make sure they stay in school. One school that I know would have conducted what we call two registration periods. And sometimes because we are now, it helps to alleviate the shift issue. You notice? When we are on shift, we start at 7, we end at 12, we start at 12, we end at 5. Now that we are online, we are able to start together at 8 and end at 2:30, apart from the little creative ways that we put in upper school, lower school, and the like. So, ladies and gentlemen, online learning is here to stay. It carries a lot of challenges. I want to ask you to check on your children's eyesight. I know there's not enough money coming in for you to do the tests and so on, but I'm going to ask that you let them understand that when they are done with class, they must at least get 30 minutes intervals in between when class is over and when they do their assignments, just to rest their eyes. It's always good to get a little cucumber. If you can get the cucumber and slice it, if it's on the fridge, you have to take it off so it gets to room temperature. Wrap it in a napkin, put it on their eyes. It helps to relax the nerves of the eyes so that we don't have persons now having to wear glasses or losing their sight. In addition to all of that, please ensure that you talk with your teachers. And remember, teachers have issues too, so you have to respect them. And I always implore them to respect you. If for any reason you have any challenges, don't be afraid to share it, because we will therefore share it with our colleagues and insist that they provide the best product and give your children a fighting chance in life. We do not know where our students will go based on what is happening now. And so we want to ensure that they can grab at any opportunity that presents itself because they would be properly educated. They would have experienced quality education. I could go on and on, but we have other things to do in this chat, and I want to hear from you too. So I'm going to let you um, listen also to Mr. Griffiths, but just that you know that online learning is here to stay. Even when we go back face to face, we'll be using the platforms to help to augment what we do for our children and to ensure that they have enough to suffice as it relates to preparation for their examinations and their future. And remember, the future is our children. But not only that, they are going to be the doctors, the secretaries, the tax collectors, and so on. And so, if we sow good seeds, then we should reap a great harvest. Over to Mr. Griffith at this time.
Thank you so much you have covered in such a short space of time. My only addition to what you have said is parents just designate a small space in the house for the students to do classes at small space, that little space where they will go to for the day for school or for the school hours, so that they don't, let's say for example, they are asked to come on camera. The, choose a space that's against the wall where it's not turned inwards the house, so that if anybody were to be passing, that it would pick up anybody passing, right? Well, not properly dressed or so. Also, ensure that that space is away from everybody else. And I know that sometimes it's hard to manage, and there are some who are not, some of you who are not at home. But in as much as possible, the persons that are watching over your children during the school hours, ask them to ensure that the children are able to learn without distraction, because we have been seeing too many instances where children are called out of classes to go wash the plate, as the principal say, or send them all the way to the shop, and then they come back to class hours later when the teacher would have finished teaching to say they don't understand. Part of their grade, part of the final grade of every student in this institution is their class attendance and participation. It is 5%. And if you know, and if you understand, sometimes 5% is the difference between a pass and a fail. The school's pass mark is 60. 40% of the work that they do, or 40% of their final grade, is the work that they do during school, during regular classes. So if they get 40% going into their exams, then God forbid, all they need to reach a school's pass mark of 60 in any subject at all is 20%. And I believe that almost everybody can go into exam and get 20%, right? Right, Madam President-elect? It should it shouldn't be too difficult to get 20% in the exam, and then we'll all come out with 60.
Should not be difficult. That is correct,
Should
sir.
not be at
Totally
all.
agree.
So let us work from there. So it is important that they do their work and not just do it when they want to say that they did the work and the teacher don't mark it. Because we have had instances of students all the way up in January after reports have been prepared, trying to submit work through Google Classroom, so as to say that they would have done the work and teacher did not mark it. But please understand that if those are some of the concerns or the complaints you're getting, to check with the teacher first. Because more often than not, you find that the work was either submitted after the deadline and way after, when it was already applied to the report. Encourage them to do every piece of work given and to participate. Remember, just with talk and ask question in class is 5% of your grade. Just that is 5%. And the others are pieces of work that are graded. So that's my bit on online learning for you. So encourage them to do their best at every turn. The last item on the agenda, Madam, would have been updates for CSEC, which would speak to, I an estimated time frame as to when they would be
Yes, sir.
informed of. So over
Yes,
to
sir.
you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffiths.
You're
Ladies and
most
gentlemen, our exam supervisor. Oh, before I get to that, don't forget to put in a little word of encouragement for the teachers every now and then, you know. So encouragement um increases labor. And you know, sometimes the teachers feel down that, you know, we call meetings and you don't come or you don't get to come. And you know, just a thank yous. And we have ways of doing that now virtually. So I would like to ask us to remember to just push our teachers. Um, Mr. Griffiths is here and he's right hand in student affairs. He's the dean of student affairs. And I don't miss a moment to say thank you for all that he does. And so, ladies and gentlemen, just encouragement sweetens labor. The scripture tells us that too. So please remember to send a little word sometimes for your teachers. All right. Now, as it relates to CSEC um, and the CAPE and all that is going to happen, and I want to talk a little bit about textbooks in a little while too. But first and foremost, the grade 10 and 11 students meeting for CSEC is coming up soon. So we didn't ask them, the coordinator come on this time because we didn't want to stretch out the meeting too long. It is now after 7 and I know that would go on and on. But just so that you know, there's a meeting specifically for this and it will speak to those parents who have children in grades 10 and 11. It is at that time too that they'll be able to tell you about the fees for CSEC and for CAPE. And so it's going to be grade 10 to 13 thereabout meeting. But first of all, for the 10s and 11s. The recommendation process, the recommendation for CSEC and the other exams. And let me just pause here to let you know what we offer our students. We have the CSEC examinations. We have the city and guilds examinations. We have the NCT vet examinations, and we have different levels to these. And of course, we have the CAPE examinations. And so we want to ask our parents to remember that the recommendations is important to their future, and we want to you to trust the um the assessment of the teachers who would have seen them working over time. Notwithstanding, we're not barring students from doing some of these examinations, and I will tell you later on what the Ministry of Education is planning to do, or has planned to do, or has embarked on. So recommendations will be beginning in the week beginning October 4, that is next week. And in order for your children to do well, ladies and gentlemen, if they don't do anything else, they must do the assignments. They must do the work the teachers give them, because if they don't do the work, the teacher won't know how well they are doing. They won't be able to get the feedback that they should get. And I will tell you that if you have an issue with any teacher not giving feedback, you can call me. All right? Or call the Dean of Student Affairs and we'll check it out and find out what is the issue. But the onus is on our teachers to also inform you of whatever changes are taking place. There is what is called the school-based assessment. And like our assessment at Green Island High School, where you heard Mr. Griffiths talk about a 40-60 kind of division, the students are given a chance to be successful. Let me put it that way. When they are given their SBAs to do and their IAs when they get to grades 12 and 13 or sixth form. Now, if a child does not do his or her SBA or IA, they would have failed the examination before they enter the city. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am begging you, please ask them about SBAs, ask them about the assignments in 7 to 9, but when it comes on to 10 and 11 to 13, ask them about SBAs and their IAs. Internal assessment is IA. School-based assessment is SBA. Ask them about it, how they don't get any. And if they give you any foolish answer, call us, because we have to ensure that we are on their tails like matlock if needs be, so that we can get out of them what they will appreciate later on. They don't know now, but they will appreciate it later on. All right. So there are other entrance tests that we allow them to do, and that will be given to them from heart. And when the dates come, don't let them tell you that not happening at school. We are going to ensure that this PTA body is informed. I have a president whom I realize that she will be in my back, for want of a better word, and rightly so. So, yes, ma'am. And so it means that we should not be ill informed. Anything that I just learned, since we have this pandemic last year, I learned how to send out press releases and all those things. So you'll be getting all of this. We have to be learning it and working and learning at the same time. So if it means that Madam President and myself and Mr. Griffith is going to sit together and we send out a press release to you, and press release mean that it go in the media, newspaper and television, then we have to do what we have to do to keep people informed. One of the things I took away from last year's PTA body is that we were not, and that was the NEI result too, the report from NEI, was that we were not so good at communicating with you, the parents. We take the criticisms and we are working on them to ensure that we improve, because our improvement, our involvement is going to mean greater success for our children. So I repeat, CSEC, CAPE, all of that will be coming up. Grade 10 and 11 meetings soon. The date is not yet given to me because they are waiting on the fees. Recommendations start next week. Children must do their SBAs, and SBAs start from grade 10. Some of them start get groundwork from grade 9. So don't let them tell you foolishness. They should have their topics and their instruments and the like. Also, ensure that when they go online, for those parents who have the time and you are able, please help them to understand they must not download anything from Google and give it back to any teacher. They are to ensure that whatsoever they check on Google or whatever books or whatever, ebooks or otherwise, that they make sure that they put it in their own words. If they take it verbatim from a textbook or any work that is done, whether it be in the media, social or otherwise, and not everything on social media is fact or correct. And that's why we still use textbooks and other resources. There are a lot of resources available to them. The teachers will be introducing them to your children. And we ask that for areas where they have to write, they have to ensure, especially research, they have to ensure that they do not write it verbatim or word for word. They must put it in their own words. And that tells me that the child understands what he or she is reading when they put it in their own words. You can help them, but don't do the assignment for them. One thing that is important, do not do the assignments for them, because when it comes on to their exams and external exams in particular, then they can't take your brain and switch it. So they have to learn something for themselves. You assist them, have them talk to you about what they're going to do. Because when they talk with you about it, then they are able to present. And no matter how, let me tell you something, parents, always remember the old granny who couldn't read. And every evening she checked her granddaughter's work. Sometimes the paper upside down, the book upside down, but she was reading. What you do today? She didn't see any ticky. You know, the check marks, the tick. She didn't see any, and she asked, why you not get no ticky? And the child took it so seriously that the child did not give any excuses, and grandma talked to teacher. So even if you don't understand all that is happening with the children now, You are a parent. You have more experience than they. You know how to check out what's going on. Huh? And you know how to go back to history. So there is a part in the device where you can look back at the history. Hmm? All when then we wipe it out, it is in the spam and it is in the recycle bin and all of that. So do what you have to do. Take care of them as it relates to the exams. I'm saying this because sometimes that gets in the way of the exams, the other eventualities, and so on. So as we talk about CSEC, that's my update for now. And let me just share with you about the textbooks. We are in the process of taking the pictures for our children who are leaving us, the graduation pictures. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, we have children who have books outstanding from grade 7, and it's not because they want to graduate, they are looking for the books, and some of them can't find it on the shelves because they are new editions now, and some of them are not in circulation anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm asking you, please, if your child is in was in grade 7 last year, they're going into grade 8, they will not get a textbook if their books are outstanding. We give enough time. When they get to grade 10, whatever textbooks they get, they use it for grades 10 and grade 11. So it is at the end of grade 11 that the grade 11 students hand in their books, and there's a specific time for that. I'm working on some internal logistics to ensure that somebody is always available to collect the children's books when they come. But for grade 7 to 9, none of your children should have books in their possession. We understand that COVID did pose a problem, but right now I'm talking with the Dean of Student Affairs to see if we can have a drop box or a drop off point where the books can be left, and we have to be careful that we have the data as to who left the books, because we know what can happen too. It has happened over the years. Books are handed in, they're not given to the right persons, they get misled, and the children are accused that they didn't hand in, or otherwise they try to lie and the like. So all sorts of challenges come with that, but we want to ensure that we are all on the same page and we are ensuring the stability of the system for the benefit of those students who come in the year after. So children will not get textbooks. They are starting with grade 9 this year to hand out textbooks for grade 9 because we're still having an issue with the books coming in for grade 7 and 8. This morning at about 9 o'clock through to 12, I had a meeting with the Honorable Minister and other ministry officials, and the apology was given that textbooks are in short supply. They have not come yet, but we are hoping that we'll get them as the midterm draws closer, so that we can ensure that your children have the textbooks. And when they get the textbooks, even the teacher doesn't use it, help them to understand how to use a textbook, even when a teacher is making do for an entire class which who may not have all the textbooks. So I have a class of 45, all of them don't have the text, so I have to use supplementary material. But the students, say for example, the 20 who have the textbooks need to be able to use the textbooks to augment what the teacher does in the classroom. I will pause here at this time, Mr. Griffiths, and come back to you as soon as. So, go ahead, sir.
At this time, I'm going to be taking some of the concerns that have been presented in the chat. And I'm seeing where Stacy would have indicated that her child was in grade 7 last year and would not have received a textbook to date. We apologize for that kind of an experience. However, due to the shortage of books that we've been faced with over the last 2 years or so, we were not able to provide books to as many students as we would have liked. However, we are working on a plan to see if we can provide some form of supplementary material, not necessarily a text, and it may come at a minimal cost, but we will tell you more about it as soon as plans have materialized. Most of the information that...
Yes, Griffith, point of order. On that matter, ladies and gentlemen, I want us to ask, I have parents in this group who have been with us for years. One of the things we pride on at Green Island High, we are not boasting, but we pride on it, is the fact that if the students do not have their texts, the teachers give them enough for them to pass their examinations and do as best as others or even better. So please, whilst we don't get the textbooks, we can't sit down and put our hands to our jaws and mope out. We don't get the textbook, the ministry don't get the textbook. And that's why I implore you to have your children search for the textbooks they have and take them in, because we cannot afford to lose all of millions of dollars of these resources because somebody is careless. I told you about the grade 11s now. They want to graduate, and now the grade 7 books are coming in. No grade 8 books are coming in. I mean, among the grade 11s, they did not take it in when they were two. And now that we have done our checks and balances, and they realize that they will not graduate until they take back the government's document. And we have to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to do it. I went to university and I couldn't owe them a cent. Had I owed them any money, I would not get my degree. So we have to teach these children to be responsible from now, and to also be grateful, because in being grateful they will know to pass on the legacy and the resource to another child. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we do augment what we do as a school, and that is why your children are able to do very, very well. All right.
Right. Just in addition to that, please note that if for any reason, for those of you who would have already seen the book list, you would have seen some textbooks on it indicated or with the designation class set. What that means is that there are set of books enough for an entire class that we would have in storage, but those particular books would not be issued via book rental. So upon necessity or upon need, the teacher will request those books or those texts from the book room so that the students are able to access the information from there. Additionally, based on the copyright laws that have been imposed upon us in using text online and other resources, we cannot provide a complete copy of these documents. So you may see from time to time that you might get a portion of a document or a portion of a textbook for a specific topic or a specific lesson that is in keeping with the copyright law. Because as an entity of the government of Jamaica, if we find ourselves in breach, we are going to have serious ramifications, have to answer to a lot of persons about it. So we are doing the best we can under the circumstances. So in the event that your child does not get a particular textbook, rest assured that we are aware and we will do what is possible to ensure that they are not disenfranchised. There remains but one single item on our agenda, and that is any other business.
Mr. G.
Hearing, go ahead.
Sorry, just a moment before you would have moved on to the last agenda on the item. I still have some parents that in the group, some have not received any book list in their package, and I'm still having quite a few parents who is still wanting to get information in regards to the grade 7 students that are newly there enrolled, if they will be getting any textbook, because I'm not sure if they were able to hear you earlier or understand what you were saying in regards to the textbook rentals for grade 7. And I
As it
also
relates
have
to,
some list of names that I'm gonna ask you to add to the big group as well, which is the Green Island High group, because some parents are still not a part of that group.
when you say big group, what do you mean?
The Green Island High School group that most times you would message us in, some parents are
Okay,
still not being added to that. So I'll have you add those. I have a few
so
names which I'll send to you.
all right. So what we are doing, based on the fact that we moved over to Telegram, Telegram will not only just serve as a meeting space, but it will be the space from which we operate. The WhatsApp groups that we had before were 5 in total and counting. With a cohort of 300 and approximately 18 or thereabout students, over 300 students, it would mean that every year that we get students, we would need to add or create another group or two because WhatsApp only allows for us to have 350 persons there. Oh, sorry, 257 persons, inclusive of the administrators. Telegram allows us the opportunity to have a group with over a couple thousand well. So that this is going to be the space.
Mr. G, to add to what Santita was just saying, my apologies. I have persons who are now DMing me saying that um they have not yet received the links to join classes for their child or ward. I am now having persons giving me their information. I was also saying to Santita that this executive body needs to have our own group with yourself, Madam Principal, and the Vice Principals, where we can be much more easier to have our communications done.
All right, that is definitely something we can work on. In terms of the listing that you would have received, just forward that to me and I will see how quickly we can act on it so that we can have these students who are misplaced or not yet placed into their classes. I would also like to point out that there are a number of you who are on WhatsApp, but your settings are private. So whilst we were working in this summer and we would have tried to add you to the WhatsApp group, we would have gotten a message to say that we cannot add you or we can't locate your number on WhatsApp. So those were some of the challenges. There was another thing that just slipped me. Let me see. WhatsApp. Okay.
Mr. Griffiths,
Yes, ma'am.
as it relates to book lists, that will be presented in short order. I
As soon as the
received the book
meeting is over.
list. Pardon me?
We can put it out as soon as the meeting is over.
Okay. We did get the book list, but we were also awaiting some additional information or resources from the Ministry of Education. So we apologize for that, which is why we need to communicate a little better. And like Mr. Moran said, we have to have a little caucus group, a group of the executive. That is a given. The executive has to have its own personal group, and that will be fed from what I would have called our year group leaders. So we have the grade 8 parents, we have the grade 7 parents, we have the grade, but you form the executive who will oversee whatever they do. So we have the year group leaders and we are going to have the cluster coordinators. So we cluster persons based on their locale because we find that there are persons who you can't reach. Even when we were face to face, we had issues with some persons who lived so far away or who lives far away but would not come to the school and they just use the school as a kind of daycare center. They take the children, they leave them there to the mercy of the school for the rest of their lives. So we definitely have to use this medium that we have in terms of a virtual space and the platforms that are available to us to find the best way we can keep the communication lines open and give you your money's worth. All right. We are all taxpayers, and therefore, um, I can't afford to let those persons who have a stake in the education sector not have the information that they need out there. You may not get it from me directly. There are persons who are teachers and so on. So I have made sure that they know of the links to join classes, and I partially want to apologize to that because our recruitment of teachers, I got 11 new teachers, 10 or 11, 11 new teachers, and that took place 2 weeks ago. So they are still putting together their appointment documents and all of that and getting accustomed to the system and so on. These are young people who can manipulate the system, however, and so they will be able to get your children on board. It will not allow the children to have anything less because we know how to tailor the curriculum so that the children can learn at the best level. children get the best tuition possible. All right? Thank you. Mr. Griffiths?
I'm right here. I'm just trying to multitask and manage the chat as we go along. I'm seeing where Sherry Reed is saying that her child cannot get into the Spanish class 497. Just let me check to see if I am the teacher. I'm almost thinking that I am. Just let me verify. Sherry, could you just message me directly and I will provide you with access information. All right, so we're down to the matter of any other business. So we're seeing the concerns about access to class, and we would have addressed the textbook issue already. Are there any other issues that we need to address? Okay, I'm seeing a concern from Latoya. Just a moment.
Mr. Griffiths, just before you take Latoya,
Go ahead.
I'm just gonna run some quick messages. There are parents here who have not collected packages for their children yet or registered. Please do so as quickly as possible. We are now in the kind of world where data is important on your child. If the children have not registered, we have not turned them away, but we would not have had the necessary data that is needed by the ministry or any other such bodies. More so now, we are going to be, or the ministry has had an extension to the secondary school year. So they're opening the formalities for a proper sixth form program. And so for the grade 11s this year, if you have a child in grade 11, we need to get different bits of data to ensure that we know where our children are going to be. So for example, the 7-year secondary school program, don't forget your point, parents, is going to require that we get the general data like date of birth and address and so on. But we now have to know their career interests, where they have gone. The grade 11s who have gone out, we need to know where they have gone, if they've gone into college, university, the workforce, heart, and so on. That information we will be taking for successive students or cohorts of students. So the grade 11s this year, we have to collect that data long before. As a matter of fact, from we come back from midterm, we are going to be collecting that bit of data so that we'll know exactly where they are going to go. It is going to require that the Ministry of Education talk to you parents. So I'm just giving you a little heads up that the secondary school program is now being formalized and everybody will have to go to sixth form somehow. If they don't go to sixth form, they have to go to a college or that kind of a thing. So just so that you know, as it relates to the links for the classes, I will also work on that for you so that we are all on the same page. We must pick up our packages. We must collect for the children. Okay?
All right. So thank you, Madam Principal, for addressing those issues because as you rightly said, they need to be registered online. The grade 7 cohort, we're still not up to full accountability for them. Only just over 150 of them have registered online. And for returning students, madam, I wouldn't even bother to utter the number of them. It's below 100 that would have completed online registration for this year out of what should be 1,400.
So sad, Mr. Griffiths. Very, very sad. Our returning students do not seem to understand the importance of ensuring that they are identified with a school. A little after this, they won't get any certification. The business places won't take them if they have not completed high school, and they will not get their high school certificate or diploma and the like. So we are ensuring that Green Island High School is not left behind. I implore our parents to assist us with that.
All right. Someone is about to speak. Go ahead.
I have a parent here, Kerona Watson. She is asking if the students that are on path, if they do get the tablet or laptop, and when can she when can they have access to getting it?
Well, the principal would have responded to the matter of students who are in grade 7, 8, and 9 that we would have not yet received the devices for those students. If the student, however, is in grade 11 or going to grade 11 and was contacted by the institution that a device was available for them, then they can come in and pick it up with the TRN
Pass
and
information.
path information. Thank you.
Mr. Griffiths, also too, if they're in doubt, I think we have a few, well, I shouldn't say few is two. If they're in doubt, they could speak with us. And I'm going to give them a number now, sir. So they
Okay,
could
ma'am.
speak with us, whilst I don't want them calling me at odd hours, but if you are in a little problem, you can call. And my number is 435 5457.
All right. I'm going to ask at this time that Stacy, I believe her name is Stacy Reed, trying to find your information in the chat, but the messages are moving so fast that your child.
Mr. Griffith, sorry to impede while you're speaking. Another situation, parents are saying that they're not able to access their child's Ministry of Education Gmail, email, sorry. They're wondering if the school is doing anything to have these emails updated.
Yes, we are actually working on having the emails updated. Unfortunately, as we would have highlighted just now, not having the complete number of students reporting or having registered, we may run the risk of sending out the data, which is going to be the case, sending out the information for email addresses to be updated, and some persons get left behind. And it's easier to send off everything in a batch and it comes back in one batch as opposed to it coming in parts. So we are working on that. All being well, we should have information for you by early next week.
Okay, sir. Thank you. No problem.
For Stacy Reed, send me a direct message so that I can find you. Having trouble finding you in the chat, so I can give you the contact information for 9/7 Spanish class. All right. Are there any other businesses or any other business?
Mr. Griffith,
Yes, ma'am.
I see here that Miss Jada Lee Billings is asking when will the grade 9 rental books be contributed? I suppose distributed is the word. Um, Based on the information given to me by the textbook administrator, I will send out an exact date, but you will hear. She said those are the ones who are going to get books first because apparently, based on availability and the reporting of the ones that were outstanding, but I don't have a specific date. All right. Deidre is asking Mr. Griffiths the link for the registration online for returning students.
I am going to be posting that now through the PTA channel so it will appear as a pinned message. Stand by for the links for both returning and new students. All right, madam, could you monitor the chat whilst I pull up the links?
All right, so
Okay,
another
sir.
parent asking for
Go ahead,
Mrs.
Miss.
number. That number is 435 5457. 157. And it's also texted in the group. So for those who didn't get to hear it, I've also posted it in the group, as well as other parents did post it just now. So you can find the number there as well.
And I did too, Miss Carr. I also put it in the group, so it
Thank you,
should
Madam
be
President.
there. Mr. Griffiths, could you also post the school's number? Because
I will.
sometimes my parents, you may not receive an answer because I may not be able to answer you when you call, but I will make note of your calls and pass them on to the Dean of Student Affairs, depending on if I'm in a meeting or whatever is happening, um, and so on. Somebody's asking, can grade 9 students return books, drop off any day? As long as you're in office, yes, you may drop them off. The the um the textbook administrator may not be there every day, but as soon as I leave this chat tonight, I will be asking them to um work on a central repository or a drop-off area so that in their absence the books can come in. All right, so I'll try and work on that for you, Mr. Griffiths. Please hold me to that one.
Yes, ma'am.
Drop off for books. We have to do that because we can't be asking for the books and when they come, we don't accept them. All right. New students registration link is now posted and it is also pinned. It's a pinned message. So at the top of the chat, you will see it there. I'm a single parent, I work, but bills take all of it. Oh my God. I understand what that is all about, but speak with us um, privately. My number is there. We'll talk so that I can speak with um, the powers that be so we can do what we can do for you. Is it that you're not hearing me? Somebody said no sound. Okay. Thank you, Madam President, for that one. Not ready yet. You didn't get a response, Miss Latoya. Remind me of the question. It's a different topic, but I want to know what to ask. Let me see if I can go back up and find it. I know this is a different topic, but I just want to
She's
know if there was
asking about the
what.
grade
There
8
was a
rental
second
book.
dose of vaccine for
And
girls.
Tasha Lee is saying that her son is
Oh,
still
it's
on
grade
top.
7. Are you referring? Somebody's talking? Sorry. Miss Latoya, you did ask about the second dose of the vaccine. Are you speaking is vaccine time? No, you have to be specific. Are you talking about the human papilloma virus vaccine that is for the grade 7s? Or are you speaking to the COVID-19 vaccine? If it is the HPV vaccine, there was a second dose for persons in grade 8, but the uptake was very low. I don't think people grabbed onto it. So I will speak with the nurse. Mr. Griffiths, that's another thing we need to look at the vaccine. In terms of if it is not that one and you're talking about the COVID, no, we have not had a second blitz at the school.
Mrs. Evans,
Okay,
Mrs.
Madam
Evans,
President,
just a question
yes.
here. I have parents asking, well, they're saying that one has a son and the other has a daughter who is currently not on path. They want to know if they're able to get the have access to the tablet also, or if there's any other thing that they can have done in regards to that. And also, Delika wants to know when they can come to pay for the package for returning students.
Okay, I'm going to ask Mr. Griffiths to speak to the payment of packages for the packages for returning students. As it relates to the tablets, we do not have any in stock to assist with loans right now. However, if the student is not on path, the Ministry of Education is not treating with those right now. But I want to ask that you give us the information of this offline. Don't hesitate to let us know, because there are times when we do get gifts from persons, and if you are a part of a list, then you could be considered. But for now, it's only the part students we have heard of. They have not gone into dealing with the whole school distribution. And so I am very, very sorry that we're not able to accommodate the child now, but send in the name, because and their number and so on. Let me know, not necessarily in this chat. I gave you my number, so use it, and then we will see how best we can assist. There are persons who come on board, past students and otherwise. So as soon as we get any help, we can consider you, as long as you're on the list. All right. I hope I've answered the second dose of vaccine for girls issue. My child cannot get into his practical classes because the teacher told him that the class is full. Tell me which class that is, please.
10-1
DD.
physics. 10-1 physics.
10-1
Physics.
physics.
Yes.
Okay. That's an
Let's
elective
address
group.
that.
Go ahead, Mr. Griffiths.
That is something that I was dealing with as of last week when it was brought to my attention. I must apologize for not having gotten back to you, ma'am. But I do have a response for you. Unfortunately, coming into this meeting would have kind of slipped it from my mind. But we would have spoken and we would have made adjustments. So you should be contacted in short order.
All right. There's a matter of reports. Your term 2 reports are ready. Your term 3 reports are being printed. We have some glitches with that, with the reports, but we are going to ensure that by the time we get to midterm, you should be able to get the reports. We are working on electronic reports, really, so that we are able to send it if you are in fear of coming in face to face. So we want to do that. And as a result of that, that hampered our presentation of the hard copies. But the hard copy of term 2 reports are available. Some persons would have come on board and collected, and the term 3 ones are being produced right now. Okay?
All right. So, ma'am, just to add to that, a number of you would have received notification of access information. Stand by, as principal says, we are far advanced in our preparation of the last report. So give us a little more time. All being well, the time frame indicated should be sufficient. So before midterm or by midterm, you should have those. Madam, I'm seeing a concern fees. So I would have asked the parent in question to direct message us so that we can discuss the same.
Is that Nadine Clark?
I can't remember. The messages are moving quickly, but there's one concern for
Okay.
mental.
Madam President's fingers are moving fast as well. She has directed Miss Nadine to speak with you one on one, and I'm available as well as it relates to that school fee issue.
Right. I was just about saying that I texted in the group that they can have it adjusted either
Right.
by you, Madam Principal, or Mr. G.
All right, great. So,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, if there are no other concerns at this time, I now ask that someone move for the adjournment of this meeting at
Point of
7.
order. Point of order, sir. Let me make an announcement before you do so.
No
Ladies
problem.
and gentlemen, we are inviting you to our annual welcome service, which will be held this Thursday at 11 o'clock. We'll send the link to the PTA group so that you can join us. I know some of you will be at work, but knowing the skills of my Dean of Student Affairs, Mr. Griffiths, who is my principal too, and don't get me wrong, I believe in succession planning. I don't believe that I'm going to be sitting in the office forever. So anybody who shows any sort of propensity towards leadership, I am going to be pushing them. So I call Mr. Griffiths my boss at times. I remember last year when I went on leave and came back, I heard that he was the principal of the school and he carried that name for a little while. So I don't have a problem with that. It does not take away from who I am. And no matter who says what, I am the one who is the principal now. So I'm going to have to write as principal. So that doesn't bother me. I am happy to work with persons who are forward thinking. So our welcome service is coming up on Thursday. We should have had it on the 1st of September. But because we were getting our grade sevens on board, we didn't want to leave them, our new teachers, and so on. And just about all parents, we want to open it this year to everybody who will be able to come in because we want to pause to just say thanks to God and ask him to ease up his hand as if evil come into the city, the Lord order it. So I know that he can stop the plague, he can stop the scourge of the pandemic, he can just bring us back to normal. I don't know his purpose for allowing this right now, but we want to pause as a school to give him thanks and also to beg him for mercy. So we're going to invite you to come in. Otherwise, I'm going to ask you to remember to pray for your school, pray for the children, pray for them. I am scared stiff. One of the things I've said to my teachers is that I would like to undertake what I call a trauma sensitive, it is used in America, but a trauma sensitive kind of approach to teaching. And that is because I have children who are coming back traumatized. They might not appear that way. I have children who have gotten pregnant. They're in grade, the lower grades, and it's dangerous. They're coming back because they are bruised. They're coming back because they're hurt. They're coming back because they've missed their parents. Some who are the breadwinners have died, and all of that. What do we do when they do come back to school? And so the onus is on me to harmonize the group of managers that I have, my VPs. I apologize for them this evening. They're having one of them is having internet issue. I don't know if Mr. Mack is on, but just so that you know, ladies and gentlemen, that we care about you and we care about the children most of all. So when we come to welcome service, we're going to be putting our hands and hearts together to beg God to have mercy so that our children and yourselves. I hear some people crying out, I'm a single parent, the money is short, and all of that. Sometimes we want the children to come back face to face, but it's a good thing they're not face to face because how we will find the money? How are we going to come back on our feet after this pandemic? How are we going to make back the money? Some of the money that you had in the bank used out by this. So it is necessary for us to stop and just say, God, we hear you, we know you, and we know you're out there, and we're begging you to have mercy. And we know that He can change things in no time. He's a God of miracles. Miracles do happen still. God bless you. And over to you, Mr. Moderator, Mr. Griffiths.
All right. We're responding to a number of messages in the chat. So if there are no other queries or concerns at this time, one concern was when are the documents due that were collected before. Please note that we need those documents on or before October 8th so that we can update the students' records for the Ministry of Education. Please get them to us on or before October 8th at 4 p.m. That's a Friday, and usually government offices close early on a Friday. If there are no other businesses, I'm going to ask, I don't think we should have to close the chat or close the group because we message at odd hours. Remember that some of us are using our cell phones and so forth to access this group. So I would like Madam President-elect through you to move a motion that by 8 p.m. in the evenings, we respect this space and not send any messages. And we do so we can resume the sending of messages at 7 o'clock the following morning.
Definitely agree with you, Sergi.
I don't, if I have to close the group space, it is going to stay closed because we have persons who will send multiple messages, and we are going to ask that you pay close attention to the chat so that you don't ask a question that has already been asked. All right, I'm seeing Tasha Lee sending a message. Who should I message directly? You can message me or any of the members of the exec, and they will get in touch with me so that we can sort out the issues that we're having. So, ladies and gentlemen, you are going to have to manage your group. This is your space. I'm an addition. I'm an
we are
addition.
we are more to be an addition.
I'm a pilgrim and a stranger. So I'm passing through. But let us respect the space. I understand that sometimes the urge is there to communicate or to get your matter addressed quickly. If there's something that is of dire importance or something urgent, instead of sending it into the group, just message me directly. And as long as I'm up and able to respond, I will. But let us respect the group space and understand that some persons have families. If we have
Right?
to,
That's correct.
if the
And we
school
shouldn't have
has
it.
to,
I'm sorry, Mr.
sorry,
G, go ahead.
I'm saying if the school has to, and we try not to send out messages too frequently, late. We try to avoid the late postings. But if we have to, for example, in the case we had the other day where electricity was going to be disconnected for the entire day, and we didn't come into the information till late and all these things, then we have to send it out late. So if something is of an emergency nature, you'll see us send out an emergency bulletin, but it will not be a practice. All right, I'm seeing some of the concerns coming up. All right, Miss Hillary says that's really true, Miss Evans. With all you speak, true, it's really hard now because of the crisis going on. All right, Miss Hillary, we hear you. Nadia is saying that her child is in grade 7 and Spanish class. Spanish is not on his timetable. And from which grade 7 is that, Nadia? Seven five. But Nadia, I would have had class with 7-5 up to this morning. And let me check. I had class with 7-5 this morning. 7-5 Spanish class is done through Telegram. Let me check. I had 7-5 this morning, and
And seven.
I would have also had 7-8 this morning as well. And both classes were done through Telegram.
All right, Mr. G, Nika, a parent is asking if the meeting is going to be ending soon because her phone battery is about to die.
Yes, we are about to end. All right. So all those other, I noticed you started that term. You stated that term 3 reports will be ready soon. So the report that was sent online on the dashboard for Christmas and summer, what's that? All right. Please note that if you have accessed the online platform by virtue of the information we sent you, you'd be able to see provisional grades for the students. Because the reports are being finalized, it means that those grades are not fixed and you can see changes. Until an official report card is published where you see a PDF document being sent to the child's account, then the report, the information you're viewing for summer is not final. All right, Chantal will address the matter of science class. Message me directly, please. For 7-1, Nadia, I will give you the information to access the Spanish class for 7-1. And Nadia can message me directly.
All right, sir. We've got to break because it is now almost 8 o'clock, and there is a parent who also has to go. I have another meeting afterwards. Um, So I'm going to invite the parents to send it through the group as well as to us personally. We did share our numbers, and I would suggest then that um we did start on time at 5. We are now at 8. So we have gone 3 hours into your time and our time. So whilst I'm not shutting up persons, we're just inviting you to also share um as we go along. We can't cover everything tonight, but we'll be sure to um, share with you. Somebody did ask about the reports. If they are on the dashboard, dashboard means that you get it electronically. And we at school, we are preparing hard copies because the physical files, every child in school has a file, and the physical files have to be updated with the reports because they'll need it for later years. All right. It will be online, but we can't just think of online. We want to go green, get rid of the papers, but at the same time, we also have to remember that we have to have it electronically too. One or the other can break down at any time. All right. So we try to back up all that we do for your children's sake and your future. All right. All right. So, Mr. Griffiths,
The move for
I think
adjournment is where we
yes,
are. I
yes.
ask that someone move for the adjournment of this meeting and another one to second.
I beg that the meeting be adjourned.
Someone to second?
Who moved, sir? Is Madam President?
Sita, Madam President.
Okay.
And seconded by Shemil and Cher.
I also second the adjournment.
All right, Jamal.
Shamil. And it is now 8:01. So at 8:01, this meeting is now adjourned. And closing remarks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. It's been a pleasure. Over to our moderator for final. And I don't like to end my meetings without prayer. Mr. Griffiths, can I just get to prayer
Go,
for
go ahead.
seconded, so many seconds? Let us pray, everybody. Eternal God, our Father, we thank you for this afternoon. We thank you, Lord, that you have given us this opportunity virtually to meet with our parents. We have got to learn to act by faith, and that has happened this evening. And so, God, your words declare that if we act by faith, then you will be pleased. And so, we place the executive into your hand, the outgoing executive. We thank you, Lord, for them. Although they didn't have much to do in the 2 years that we had the pandemic. It was so heart rending. But God, we thank you for what you have done. Thank you for Mr. Griffiths for the which way he moderated. And I thank you, Lord Jesus, for the motivation we feel as the new executive takes on its roles and responsibilities. Bless them. Bless the homes. Lord Jesus, provide help from your sanctuary. We cannot go on, Lord Jesus, without your help. And as we come to the end of this meeting, Lord, guide our steps, guide our thoughts. Help us, oh God, to remember that this is only a sign of what is yet to come, because you promised that you'll be coming back with your hands full of reward. And so, all of us who work together for the benefit of your heritage, our children, we ask, Lord, that you continue to bless us with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding to lead so great a generation that we now serve. We pray for continued peace as we look to you and humbly say thanks. In Jesus' name, amen.
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 And
Amen.
amen.
Thank you,
Amen. Thank
everybody.
you
God
for
bless you.
joining.
God bless you.
I'm going to be sending an evaluation into the group. So I'm asking you to complete the poll. How satisfied are you with today's meeting? And then you fill out the poll and you are free to go.
And the parents know just for tonight that the group you're allowed to text a little bit later than 8 because we are just closing. But officially, as of tomorrow, 8 o'clock on the dot, no messages should be coming in because we all work. Sometimes we are tired and we do have kids to attend to work and stuff. So once it reaches 8, guys, no texting.
Mr. Griffiths, I love my president already, you know, sir.
All right, so please note that
Very good.
the poll is being done using emojis. So you give us a thumbs up if you're very satisfied. You give us a thumbs down if you're not satisfied. And if you just don't know how you feel, you just give us a meh.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Griffiths.
I'm also asking that you use the poll. I know that we like to text, but please use the polling feature, thanks, so we can have the records.
And please, members of my executive board, please feel free to DM me your names and your numbers that we can have a PDF created so that we can start things off to a part. All right. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great night.
All right. So from us to you, good night, and see you in a few days when we start working hard again. Ciao.
Okay, Mr. Z.